Hey guys, I got a really nice treat for you. I actually have two Mark IV amplifiers here. I have the Rev B on top and I have the Rev A on the bottom. So this is going to be really cool. I'm going to shoot them out, but I'm also going to dial each amp in from scratch, so everything will be set at noon on all of the knobs here, and all of the faders here are set at neutral. Okay, so and I'm going to pretty much bring these amps to life from those settings and see how they sound, and I'll be doing it without the overdrive pedal engaged at all. So after I get each amplifier set up without the overdrive pedal, I'm going to go ahead and engage the overdrive pedal and make the necessary adjustments to both the pedal and the amplifier to make them work together better. The pedal I'm going to be using today is the Mud Killer. So again, the pedal will be off when I get started here, and I'll let you know when I engage the pedal. And before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to Kyle Labuda and Nick Morris for allowing me to use their amplifiers so that I can do these shootouts with them. Thank you guys very much. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you guys very much. So let's go ahead and get started with Kyle's amp, which is the Rev B Mark IV. And let's just see how it sounds at all the settings at neutral or noon. Okay, so we definitely have our work cut out for us. So let's go ahead and set up the graphic EQ in pretty much the traditional shape, which is that V shape. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what that will do for us. 1 second. Okay, a little more life into the amplifier, but we still have more work to do. So let's go ahead and start shaping the gain. And just so you know, like all of the knobs over here, the bass, middle, and treble, are basically shaping the gain, not the overall tone of the amplifier. It's pre-gained, so it's shaping how the gain acts and sounds, whether you want it smoother, more aggressive, how full do you want it, how rich do you want it. I mean, it's really kind of cool how this amplifier is. And right here with the faders, that is like your mastering section of the amplifier that shapes your overall tone. So let's start shaping our gain right now. Everything's at 5. I'm going to turn the gain up a little bit too, so we'll go ahead and start with that, and then I'll start shaping the gain after that. Alright, we definitely have more gain, but it's really flubby and it's kind of muddy. So let's go ahead and clear out some of that mud. So let's go ahead and take the bass down. Let's just start at 0. Let's see where it's at 0. So all I've done is taken the bass down. Huge improvement. So let's go ahead and add just a touch, just a little bit, and see where we're at. Much, much better. Okay, so I just have it at 1. So all you need is just a touch. So I'm going to go ahead and mess with this. Let's turn the treble up a little bit. And just so you know, I have the lead gain and lead drive both at 8. So let me crank the lead drive up to 10 and see where we're at. And I'm just going to go ahead. I'll leave the treble at 5 for now. Then I'll gradually raise the treble up and see what happens. Huge difference. So if you notice, I turned the treble up to 10, and basically what that did is it really added some nice aggression and texture to the gain stack here, and it really does sound amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and crank the lead gain all the way up to 10 as well and see what we get. Man, this thing really comes to life when you do that. So basically I have the treble all the way up, and if you notice, it doesn't get super trebly. All it did was just add some really nice aggression and texture to the gain stack, and it didn't make the amp overly bright at all. So don't be afraid to mess around with these settings over here on these amplifiers, because they really do a lot of great stuff to your gain stack. I mean, it really does make a huge difference. So now let's mess with the mid and see what that does. So with the mids, you don't want to push them too hard, because all it did was add some mud to the gain stack, and I don't want to do that. So I actually like the mids right in the middle. So now let's go ahead. You have a pull fat here on the lead gain. So if I want a little more low end, in other words, thickness, not really boominess, but a thicker sound, I want to pull this out, and it's in right now. So I'm going to show you what that sounds like. I really like it out. It just makes it beefier and thicker. I could take it either way, but I definitely prefer it out. So far, we're actually getting some pretty good tones out of this amp, and again, no overdrive pedal yet. So now let's mess with the presence a little bit and see if we can add even some more aggression to it. The presence is pushed in right now, but you can shift it and pull it out. I'll show you the difference between the two, but I'm going to dial it in with it pushed in for now. Wow, that just added just the right amount of bite to it. This thing is really aggressive now. It sounds amazing. It's thick, fat, full, really saturated, and very aggressive. I'm really liking what I'm hearing. No overdrive pedal yet. and it feels great to play too. You know me, I'm freaking Captain Overdrive, so I'm kind of liking this without it so far. And so what I did is I have the presence again pushed in, and it's at 7. So let's go ahead and pull the knob out and see what that sounds like. Yeah, I much prefer it pushed in than pulled out. As soon as you pull it out, it kind of thins the amp out a little bit and castrates it a little bit. You know, I like it pushed in. It's just got a bigger, fuller sound. So I'm going to keep it in. And yeah, I think, honestly, we are kind of there as far as the tone's concerned. I mean, I have the gain cranked on both of them. Let me turn the gain down a little bit. Let me turn it down to 8 on both the lead gain and the lead drive and see where that takes us. That might be a great rhythm tone, but again, I was kind of liking where we were at 10, but we'll see. Very impressive. Very freaking impressive. I'm really liking this a lot. This is amazing. I'll tell you what, man. I get why people say, yeah, you don't really need an overdrive pedal with that amplifier for rhythms anyways. For leads, I would definitely engage one. But I think that maybe we can make an overdrive pedal work with this amp. So let's go ahead and engage one, because I love overdrive pedals and I love that really nice, modern, saturated, aggressive tone. So let's see if I can kick on the Mud Killer at these settings and see what it's like. And if it sounds great, awesome. If not, we'll make some adjustments and see if we can get these two units to work together. Alright, sounds great, feels great, but I think it's a little too edgy. So let's go ahead and pull the presence down just a hair to 5. Let's bring that back to neutral, and then let's take the treble down a little bit too. Let's put that back to 5, and then I'll make some adjustments if needed once we test it again. Well, that sounds phenomenal. I really love the rich texture that the amp has and that really nice bite that it has on the top end. It's got more of a modern sound and it felt more responsive, but man, I'll tell you, a lot of people could probably go either way regarding an overdrive pedal on this amplifier for rhythms anyways. I mean, it sounds great both ways and it's still really responsive without one. I think I prefer it with it, but not because it absolutely 100% needs it. I just love that extra bite and attack that I get, and I really love a responsive amp because I don't beat the hell out of my strings. I'm kind of a light picker, so it actually helps me accomplish what I'm doing a lot easier. So let me play a couple more riffs on it and do a couple more fine-tuning bits on this with the overdrive pedal, and then we'll go ahead and switch amplifiers. Alright, so what I did was I tried to add some more mids, but it was getting a little on the muddy side, so I brought them back down, so I still have the mids kind of in the middle, and I added just a touch more bass, and it seemed to fill it up a little bit more, and it really made it thicker, and because, you know, you got to keep in mind when you hit it with an overdrive, it's cutting out some low end, so you want to add some of that back in. And let me see how much bass I can add in and get away with it. Alright, so here's what I did. I added just a touch more bass, so it's kind of just over the 1 line, you know. And I also tweaked the Mudkiller pedal. I took the knob that's labeled fat skinny, and I put it more towards the fat side to add a little more low end into the front end of the amplifier, and it seemed to have really fixed that. That's what I like about this pedal. It's got that variable knob that you go between fat and skinny, and you can really fine-tune things. And I feel like I've pretty much nailed it with this amplifier, both without and with the overdrive pedal, as far as my tastes are concerned. And it was pretty easy to dial in. It took me a few minutes, and it wasn't that hard. So if you understand how these amps work and how they're designed, it's pretty easy to dial them in. You just have to know what knobs are associated with what. So again, everything over here is shaping your gain, and everything over here is shaping the overall EQ and tone of the amplifier. Alright, so there's a couple switches on the back of the amplifier I want to talk about really quick as well. One is the mid-gain harmonic switch, and the other is the pentode triode switch. So right now on both of those switches I'm on pentode and mid-gain. So in these settings, with the gain set the way it is in this amplifier, you're not going to notice much of a difference, especially in this video. Between the harmonic and the mid-gain, I could switch them for you and you won't hear a difference. but you will hear a difference with the pentode triode switch. Again, I'm in pentode right now, so I'm going to go ahead and play a riff and then switch to triode and then back to pentode so you can hear the difference. So basically when it switched to pentode, it's a little louder. On triode, it's a little lower in volume. I didn't notice a big difference in tone or feel. It's just a volume thing as far as I'm concerned. So sorry if I don't know all the technical jargon associated with it, but those are the layman's terms regarding what I experienced with that switch. Alright, so now let's hook up the Mark IV Rev A and dial that in from scratch as well. And stay tuned to the end of this video because I'll be putting both of these amplifiers up against each other in a full mix with the exact same settings and no overdrive pedal. Alright, so now I have Nick's amplifier on the stand and we're going to dial that in. Now this one is the Mark IV Rev A version. Okay, so as you can see, everything here in the pre-gain section is set to 5. So everything's pretty flat, and this graphic EQ is also set to the neutral or middle position. So same settings that we started off with on the Rev B version. Now I'm going to go ahead and dial in the amplifier with the overdrive pedal off. After I dial in the amplifier and get it sounding good without the pedal, I'm going to engage the pedal and then do any kind of fine tuning on the amplifier and or the pedal that's necessary with the pedal engaged. So just like the Rev B, the Rev A also does not sound good when it's set up this way. So let's go ahead and set the graphic EQ up in the classic V setting here and see what it sounds like, and then I'm going to start turning these knobs over here in the pre-gain tone stack and really bring this amplifier to life, and hopefully it comes to life just like the Rev B model did. I'm pretty sure it will. So here we go. So that's really, really bassy, and it just doesn't sound good at all. So let's go ahead and start turning these knobs over here and see if we can really wake this thing up and add some clarity and some really good high gain distortion to it as well. Alright, so I'm already noticing some improvements. I turned the bass all the way down to 0, bumped the treble a little bit, so now let's go ahead and let's crank the gain up on both the lead gain and lead drive, and we'll adjust it from there. I'm going to turn them all the way up to 10 and see where we're at. Alright, much better, but we got a lot of bass going on here still. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the bass down a little bit on the 80 hertz. And let's turn up a little more. Let's just crank the treble too. Let's see where that's at. I'm going to keep the mids in the neutral position and see where we're at. There's a really nice thickness that I'm getting here, and I don't even have the fat switch pulled out yet. So I had to bring the 80 hertz down a little bit more. I backed the mids off a little bit. I'm down to like between 2 and 3 now. It seemed to add a little more clarity and get rid of some of the mud. So I'm going to back the gain down a little bit. So maybe on this particular amp, when you turn up the gain too high, you get a little bit of mud. So I'm going to turn those down from 10 to 8, and I'm going to start fiddling with those and see if I can get some more clarity out of it. Alright, so I haven't messed with the presence yet, so I'm going to do that next, but it seems like this amp has a little more low end, and I don't think the gain is structured the same way. It feels like the Rev B actually has a little more saturation than this amp, or this amp is, I don't know, it's a little thicker sounding and a little less gainy. Also, I turned the gain, I might as well just turn the gain all the way up because it doesn't get muddier as you turn it up, so that's kind of nice. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it all the way up. Well, I'll turn it down to 9. Happy medium there. So I'll put it there, and I'll start messing around with the presence knob, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out the fat switch and see how that affects things. There's some pretty good stuff going on here. So I cranked up the presence a little bit more. I pulled the fat switch out, and it didn't add mud. It made it thicker, just like the Rev B does. And I'm going to keep messing with this. Let me pull the presence knob out as well and see what happens there. Alright, so we haven't arrived yet, but I noticed that you can pretty much get away with adding a lot of presence to this amplifier, and then you can adjust any kind of harshness here on the 6K fader and balance those out. I did pull out the presence knob, and I don't know, it just thinned out too much for me, so I pushed it back in. But one thing I'm kind of thinking is going to happen is I feel like this amplifier is going to take the overdrive pedal a little better than the Rev B, only because it's just got so much low end and thickness to it that I feel like when you hit it with a boost, it's not going to choke out. I'm not saying the Rev B choked out, but I just feel like this one, even with an overdrive, is going to be a little thicker. So let's finish dialing this in. I'm going to fiddle around with it for a few more seconds here and see if I can really get this thing to come alive without the overdrive, and then I'll go ahead and engage the pedal. Man, this is one beefy freaking amp. Holy crap. Definitely beefier than the Rev B. My opinion, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's just got this really thick sound to it. I think this is going to take the overdrive pedal very well. So at these settings, I feel like the amplifier without the pedal is about as good as I can get it. Maybe I could fine tune it a little bit more. I mean, for recording, probably want to bring the bass down a little bit more, but for live, let the house guy deal with that, because you want that rumble and that fullness while you're listening to your cab on stage. But yeah, this is a pretty darn good sound for again, not having an overdrive. And you're literally watching me play this for the very first time. I literally just plugged it in, and you're seeing me just shake hands with this thing for the first time. So that's kind of where it's at. So let me mess around with the mid-gain and harmonics too. Maybe that'll do something. Let me just do that real quick before I engage the pedal. So with the harmonics selected on this switch, I feel like it has a little less aggression and fullness, I guess. And with it switched to mid gain, I feel like it's a little fuller, and it just feels a little different. It feels better actually. So I'm gonna leave it on mid gain. So let's go ahead and engage the Mud Killer pedal now and see how well it takes the pedal. Alright, with these settings, the top end's a little aggressive, so Again, I had it set up to sound good without the pedal, so I'm going to turn the treble down to 5. Let's put that at neutral, and let's take the presence back down to a neutral setting, and then we could fine tune from there. And I'm actually going to add a little bass. Let's put the bass up to between 1 and 2, and I'm going to keep the mids between 2 and 3. I'll nudge them just a hair and see where we're at. I'm not saying that's perfect, but it's damn good. Holy crap, does that sound amazing. That sounds really freaking good. So I'm going to mess with these faders a little bit more and fine tune it. So basically, I put the presence up to 6, and I got the treble at 7. So, and then I still got the bass over here at 2, and the lead mid is at between 2 and 3, almost to 3 now. And yeah, it sounds really good. So I'm going to mess with these faders over here and really finalize this sound here. Oh my god. Dude, this thing is sick. Wow, I don't know which one I like better. Man, I wish I had these on my switcher. I could put them back and forth. Maybe I'll do that in another video, because this is so freaking beefy and aggressive, and it's got this nasty snarl to it. Oh my god, it's insane. Dude, this amp is freaking sick. Both of these amps are sick. There's something really cool going on here too. I mean, again, this is my first time ever playing this amp. So I basically have the classic V. I put it back to that, back the bass down a little bit over here, and now I'm down between 1 and 2, and the mids are at almost 3, trebles at just past 7, and the presence is pushed in, and it's at 6. And the fat switch is pulled out, and I got the gain at about 10 over here and 9 over here on the lead drive, between 8 and 9. And this thing just sounds amazing. It's so thick and aggressive. So to recap, when I initially engaged the Mud Killer, the amp was too aggressive. But remember, I had the amp set up to sound great without the overdrive pedal. Okay, so I had it set up very aggressive without it. So when I engaged the Mud Killer, it added more aggression to it. So now it was overly aggressive and the top end was a little too much. And all I had to do is bring some things back on the top end and then add a little more low end back in and find that healthy balance between the low end here and the low end here. And after that, it became this big, thick, nasty, snarling, freaking aggressive beast. And I'll tell you, I've never played these amps before, and it's kind of an honor to do this. I'm so grateful for this opportunity because I've always heard how good the Mark IVs were, and okay, legit, both Mark IVs are freaking amazing. Holy crap, are these good amps. I mean, I wish Mesa would bring them back, because these are really legendary sounds I'm getting here out of both of these amplifiers. And the thing is these amps are pretty old, and they sound just as modern as any other modern amplifier out there. They have that modern sound and that beefiness to go with it. I mean, a lot of these modern amps have a great top end, but they don't have a lot of low end in them. They kind of sculpted the top end and ignored the low end in a lot of these. These have tons of low end, thickness, and a really nice, really saturated tone with the perfect kind of aggression on the top end. They really do. I honestly think that any guitar player in a modern metal band could sound current with either one of these amps. They don't sound dated at all. Like I said, they're older amps, but they do not sound dated. A lot of times when I play older amps on the show, I can hear the classic sound in them. It's like, oh yeah, it's got that classic rock sound. Not in either one of these. These both will do the classic rock thing, but they'll also sound brutal and amazing and modern on top of all that. So now let's hear how they sound in a full mix in comparison to each other. I'm just doing a quick mix so that you can hear them against each other, and they will be set up exactly the same so that you can hear how different they sound at the same settings, and they will not be pushed with an overdrive pedal in these mixes. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun getting to know these amps, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to do so. And I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed playing these amplifiers. What an honor. Holy crap, are these amps freaking amazing. I mean, the hype is real on these. Totally freaking real. To all my subscribers, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys more than I could say. And if this is your first time watching one of my videos and you haven't subscribed, please do, and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I either go live or come out with new episodes. I go live every Wednesday night at 8 with a new piece of gear, typically amps. We play them in mixes and play isolated riffs, dial-ins, answer questions. We have a lot of fun on our live streams. And every Sunday night at 7, Carrie, my co-host, joins me, and we do some performances with you. We do viewer comments, live interaction, and I'll always have a piece of gear to play for you as well. Well, keep your eye on the channel because I got a lot of great stuff coming up, and I'll see you on the next one.